Hey there. I'm live on Facebook. I'm live on Periscope. I am live on YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. It is the next Dress Your Mate book club meeting just by me, by myself, right before Christmas, because I wanted to talk about The Chemist. So I'm not necessarily sure how you guys are going to take this conversation because the book surprised me. Where I got off from everything really surprised me. It was a hard book to read, to be honest. I did not enjoy it at all. And so that's pretty much what I'm going to be coming on air to talk about, which is kind of frustrating because I am a huge hello, Regina watching on Facebook. I'm a huge fan of Twilight and Stephanie Meyer. And I felt like this book was, to me, definitely not reflective of the Twilight series. It was a whole different series. It's a whole different universe and world she created. But I found it very difficult. Hey Nina on Facebook, I found it very difficult for me to follow along in the conversation. This thing is, as you can see, ginormous. And to be honest, I didn't necessarily feel like it was filled with a bunch of stuff like that made me want to read. I mean, I definitely just didn't enjoy it. And so let's go through it. So if you are a fan of like book summaries and you're like, oh, I just like to like kind of tap into something that can give me kind of a brief abbreviation version of what the book is about, you should check out bookrags.com. They have a very thorough breakdown of the book, so let me kind of read that to you so you can get a feel, and then we'll go a little bit through the chapters and take it from there. Ugh, okay, guys. The Chemist is a suspense novel by Stephanie Meyer in which heroine Alex attempts to survive her former government department while attempting to get to the bottom of a biological weapons plot. When the novel begins, readers are introduced to Dr. Juliana Fortis, a molecular biologist. Dr. Fortis' code name is the Chemist. She earned the name for the work she did for a government department, an agency so secretive that it does not have a name and does not officially exist. Dr. Fortis used chemical agents to torture those she interrogated for the purpose of extracting critical information. At the beginning of the novel, Juliana, who changes names frequently, is on the run. Juliana's current name is Alex. The department has been after her for 3 years, during which time she has survived 3 assassination attempts following the death of her mentor, Dr. Joseph Barnaby. So even that, right? Like that's a lot of information, but I realized, I don't know, like that story plot just it wasn't my jam. It wasn't something I was particularly interested in. I could see how you could be interested in it, but for me it didn't jive well. I mean, it goes on to how kind of Alex's kind of mission that she was on for the book. But like I said, I didn't get through it, to be honest. Like I will keep it 100 with y'all. This book, I'll tell you the first page that it starts on. And, I'm not a fan of books where they drop the reader in like the middle of a scene without giving proper context. Because I think, to be honest, like, why do you care? Why do you care when like you're just dropped in the middle of the scene? So for instance, this is how the book begins, The Chemist. Today's errand had become routine for the woman who was currently calling herself Chris Taylor. She'd gotten up much earlier than she liked, then dismantled and stowed her usual nighttime precautions. It was a real pain to set everything up in the evening, only to take it down first thing in the morning, but it wasn't worth her life to indulge in a moment of laziness. Like, what is that? Really? Like, I mean, no disrespect. Like I said, I'm a huge Twilight fan. I'm a huge Stephanie Meyer fan, but I was just like, what? Why? Why do I care? What are you talking about? What? So instead of my normal book club kind of conversations where I go in about different memorable portions of the book, like I said, this and me, we weren't together, guys. We were not. This was not my jam. Unfortunately, it's not even going to make it to my Dresser Mate book recommendations page. Like it's not going to cut it, guys. So here's some thoughts that I did have that I thought we could discuss, and it will probably be a shorter book club meeting because of that. But I think it's something to be discussed because I've definitely seen this conversation online, and I think we should have the freedom to talk about what we want to talk about, right? So first and foremost, what do you do when you're struggling with a book? I think first of all, you have to decide if it's worth you reading it, finishing it. Essentially, my kind of approach to that is to read between 25 to 75 pages of the book, and if my spirit is just not getting with it, if I'm just like kind of And right, like usually when I like a book, I'm gonna finish it between 1 and like 4 or 5 days, maybe 2 weeks if there's a lot going on in my life. But typically, like I'm reading 13 Reasons Why as like additional. I'm in the middle of a lot of different books because I want to get through a lot of books, and I can't put it down. It's really Jay Asher, I think, is the author for that, and obviously it's a Netflix special. Very interesting writing, very interesting plot. It's just resonating with my soul a bit more, and so I decided for me, The Chemist just wasn't my jam. It wasn't something that I was interested in. So that's step one. Step two, make the decision and stick with it and then keep moving forward. So a lot of times I think that when you're reading a book, you have this preconceived notion that like if you start it, you have to finish it. Do you watch every single show that you start? Do you finish every single, right? Like I think that when it comes to content, the point is to keep reading every day. I would be okay with you picking up 100 books in a month and only reading 10 of them. Like at the end of the day, as long as you're reading, as long as you're pushing forward in your content consumption, in your learning, in your creative deep dive, then I think that that's okay. Is it ideal? No, I definitely didn't want to come on here and have a book club meeting and be like, hey guys, didn't finish the book. Like not on my own accord, but I just didn't like it and I'm sticking to my decision. I'm a big firm advocate of the idea that like you should go with what your gut, and my gut was telling me after about, I think I got into like 70 something pages and I was just like, this blows. And I'm just going to stick with it. Right. So like I said, if Stephanie Meyer, if you ever watch this, I adore you. I adore Twilight. I just didn't like The Chemist. So womp, womp, womp. It's a little bit sad. And then what's the third step you do? You move on to the next book, right? Like for me, I moved on to 13 Reasons Why. And then I'm also going to get started on our January book club by Crystal Salisbury. And so like, keep it moving. Keep it moving. I think that's pretty much like a really 3 simple step program that you can apply to whenever you're reading a book. So again, 1, decide if it's worth reading it. Get through some of it. Get through between 25, 75 pages. If at the end of that journey, you're like, never will I ever finish this book, then that's where you're at. That's where you're at. All right. Next, I think you have to make the decision and then stick with it. We can't dilly dance, double step, read it or don't read it. It's really that simple. Read it or don't read it, and then keep moving. And then pick up the next book, right? Don't let this discourage you. If you read a bad book or a book that just doesn't fit with your spirit, don't feel like, oh my gosh, like maybe reading isn't for me. Like, obviously not. That book just wasn't for your spirit, and you keep it moving, and that's totally fine. Okay. Now, I do have a couple of points on kind of what authors should remember. So if any of you are tuning in and you are writing a book, if you are thinking about writing a book, here's some thoughts that I would recommend. I've contributed to a book, and I'm technically a published author myself in an anthology. Shout out to Marcia Guerriere of Her Sweet Spot. She has several books that she's put out, and I'm a part of one of them, which is really exciting. And number 1, with a bullet, I think that authors need to keep in mind is that storytelling always matters. So what did I say when I started this conversation, right? I regret to inform you that I do not like being dropped in the middle of a scene and not having context. And I don't think I'm alone on that. And if I am, please put that on the comments here on Periscope, here on Facebook, here on YouTube. I would love to know, but I personally do not enjoy being dropped in the middle of a scene and not really understanding why I should care, what's going on. I think you don't have to be so transactional in a book, right? Where you're like, Janice with brown hair decided to walk, right? You can just start with her having a conversation, but you gotta back it up a little bit as well. And it has to be done in an interesting way, because if it's not, then you leave the reader feeling very unsatisfied, really just insatiated, just like, why is this happening? Why do I care? Why am I being annoyed for no apparent reason? That's where we're at with that. All right. Next, you really want to make sure that when you are giving context, you don't take too long to do it. I felt like The Chemist, like I said, did you really, like, I adore you, Stephanie, but did you really need to write a book this big? Like, really? This thing is like, let's see how many pages. 518 pages. You couldn't have gotten to the point a little bit faster? Like, I'm sorry, but like, that's just extra. That's just extra. Like, unless you were writing the great novel of the century, keep your books under 250 or 300 pages. Like, get your life. Why? It has to be, every word in communication has to be strategic. That's why I'm a big fan of not using the word and not using as many vocal fillers as possible. Yes, I slip out like a lot. And as you know, or that's like another one that I do. I'm just like, is just like is my kryptonite though. And so every time I hear it, I'd like cringe on the inside. And because I just think that communication needs to be strategic and it needs to be purposeful, and has no purpose. So that's my little rant for the day. Moving on. When it comes to writing a book, be concise, right? Why are we moving the reader along a journey and it's taking you 400 pages to get to the end? What are we doing in that journey? Really? Really? Okay. Okay. I think that authors don't necessarily, and we had a special book club meeting earlier with Leah V, and she is a blogger and a model and an influencer, an entrepreneur. And she was saying, when she was writing her book, that her advisor advised her to write for herself. Right. And so when you come from that perspective, then it makes sense how your book could end up being many, many pages, because if you're not thinking about another person as the audience, then you're not really going to care if you want to read 200 or 300 or 500 pages. You're going to want to do it. For me, I guess my approach in writing is I always come, just because from a business perspective, you're always thinking about your customer, right? Your customer first. So to be honest, when writing, I also write customer centric as well. What do I want the audience to take from it? I'm not writing for myself, I'm writing for you, because I want you to kind of vibe with me on my words and what I'm trying to communicate. But there's not one way to do anything in life. So that would be my approach. And when writing a book, I just think brevity is important. I just don't understand why it would take someone 400 pages to get to a point. Like, I'm just like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? So please drop in your comments here on Periscope, on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm happy to engage with you. If anyone has read The Chemist and is like, Natasha, you're so off, I loved this book, it was amazing, then let me know, like, correct me if you really feel like I'm off base. I'm always open to having a conversation. The beauty of our world is that we all have different belief systems. We all have different ideas. So let your chick know, let a chick know, so that I can have that, I can think about it, and maybe I'll revisit it. Highly doubt it, but there's always a possibility. Also, I would say when writing a book, I think it's really important not to get too details, too caught up with the details when it comes to transactional things. So for instance, if you're talking about Jane walking across the street, like, please don't take a page to talk about how she walked across the street. Like, I highly doubt you're writing it in such an engaging and such a beautiful way that anyone really cares. Like, she crossed the street. Okay. I think what's more interesting about that sentence is, where is she going to? What was she wearing? Why was she crossing the street? But the literal left foot, right foot, step over the nope. I'm the type of reader, at least I can speak for myself, that I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what she's thinking when she's walking. I'm interested in where she's going, why she decided to cross the street, what she was wearing when crossing the street, what inspired the movement itself. But I'm not interested in the transactional right foot move, left foot move. And I found, to be honest, The Chemist had too many, I think, focused details on transactions that just, to me, just didn't seem meaningful. Now, maybe if I had gotten through the end, it would have been clarified for myself. I don't know. I just highly doubt it. So there's that. And again, hi there on Periscope. Again, my last bit of advice for authors, anyone thinking about writing a book, anyone who is writing a book, is to really, I understand that you may or may not be writing for your audience, but I encourage just a little bit of thinking when it comes to who's reading this, because at the end of the day, you're not buying your own book, someone else's. So I do think that being somewhat customer centric is important, because the customer is going to want to purchase this. So how you present the cover of the book, how you present the synopsis on the back, the different types of testimonials included in the book. That's not for you. That's for your audience. That's for your customer. So what ultimately is the takeaway? For me, I found the Chemist to be too convoluted and unnecessary statements. boringness, and just, it wasn't compelling. It really shocked me. And I struggled with this decision. I did just struggle with it because, like I said, for someone who loved Twilight, I thought, wow, well, this would be like a really fun new type of world or universe to dive into. But sadly not. Sadly not, guys. So I regret to inform you, I was not a fan. 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 Oh, don't kill me. But that's where I'm at with that. So ultimately, what do I need from you? I need for you guys to come on here and to tell me, what did you think about The Chemist? What did you think about it? What did you think about it? What did you think about it? Here on Periscope, here on Facebook, here on YouTube. This didn't move me. It was not enjoyable. I will happily be putting this away in my bookshelf and probably not looking at it again, unless one of you come on here and tell me just how compelling of a book you found it to be, or something I really missed, because I was going through the pages. Merry Christmas from Papa Bear Alaska on Periscope. Merry Christmas. And I just was like, what am I missing? I felt like I was missing something. So if you have the answer, please tell me. Let your girl know. Otherwise, that pretty much concludes our Dressing Room Mate book club meeting for this month. This month was special because we did 2 meetings. We did one with Leah Vernon, who's a blogger, model, influencer, entrepreneur. If you missed that, then you definitely want to go to dressingroom8.com and click on the book club page or tab so that you can watch and join that video conversation. And then, of course, you'll also see this one as well, because this is here available on Periscope, on YouTube, on Facebook. So yay, yay, yay. And then I want you all to get ready for January. Our January book club meeting is going to be a little bit earlier in the month. So I know the holidays and festivities and coquita and eggnog and sorrel and whatever else we're drinking up this holiday season. Got to make sure we're still reading. Got to make sure that we're still moving the needle and expanding our mind, guys. All right. So that's it. You will see me tomorrow for the Birchbox opening for this month, because I wanted to celebrate Christmas with my Dressing Room Mate family online. If you're awake and up, please join me. You'll be able to see that on the Facebook page. Thanks for the hearts on Periscope for facebook.com/dr8fashion. That's the Dressing Room Mate Facebook page. So come back, join me there. Otherwise, enjoy Christmas Eve, y'all. You see, I'm in my spirit. I got my nails did. I did, got the red going on. I'm all about the Christmas holidays. I'm all about a fugly sweater, aka fashionable Christmas sweater. And just enjoy your day. Again, I regret to inform you that I didn't enjoy The Chemist, and that was the book choice of this month. But if you enjoyed it, put it in the comments. Let me know. And with that, come back tomorrow so that we can do our Birchbox opening, and then we can kind of wind down the year, guys. I have a couple more programs before 2020. So I'll see you guys soon. All right. So I'm going to say bye on YouTube. Bye-bye, guys. And then bye on